it's putting the customer at the center of everything that we do, and end to end. I think everything from product development through to what we do in the channel, what we do in the marketing space, the sales space, and then obviously looking at supply and customer experience as well. It really is everything end to end. And it's putting the customer's needs first. It's not about putting the organizational needs first.
So customer obsession is what you learn, the insights, and the analysis you make of the data to inform your customer experience and the tweaks you might want to make to ensure that experience is perfectly aligned with what you've learned.
Customer obsession to me means, is this an integral part of your value set? Is it woven into your values? Is it something that every employee who works and who joins the company realizes that this is a fundamental way that they're going to be measured?
We need to look at how do we differentiate ourselves. And I think we see that with all of the key digital disruptors coming into the marketplace and changing the experience, and really changing how the customer wants to be served. So their demands and expectations are changing. And I think initially we've always just assumed, well, that's in the consumer space. But what we're actually seeing is research shows us that B2B is actually the experience of purchasing products online for B2B is 2 times more emotional than a consumer.
Customer obsession drives both new customers, because they tell me every new prospect always wants to see your existing customers to see do your sales values actually stack up once they become a customer. So I think customer obsession does 2 things. It drives new business, there's no question about that, because everybody wants to hear from a marketing platform about customers who have been successful. And you hear that, you think, great, I want to be part of that community. And secondly, if customers are successful, they do 3 things. Firstly, they buy more from you. Secondly, they tell their friends, family, contacts in the industry, they espouse whenever they go, I use this product or this service, and they're wonderful. And thirdly, what we found a lot at Salesforce is, should they move on to another job, guess what? They call you and they say, I've arrived at another company, we'd like you to come along and potentially bid for our business. So it's a self-reinforcing virtual model of, you get more customers, you get more success, you get more revenue, so you can grow more. Yeah, at Salesforce, one of their core values for the 20 years that I was, pretty much the 20 years that I was there, was customer success. It was a core value around the business. So was growth, so was innovation, but customer success was a core value. And what does that mean? What it meant was that we built all of our plans, our company plans for the year around those 3 values. How were we going to grow? How were we going to innovate? But more importantly, how were we going to deliver customer success? And so that plan from the executive team would cascade right the way down to the most junior person in the company, would have a plan that included customer success. That then wove that obsession into the fabric of the company.
It takes a lot of patience and guts, really, to get the organization to see the world through the customer's eyes and to move away from what we have done from a legacy perspective for many years. So we're in the process of rolling out a digital transformation across the organization. We're starting with marketing first, so looking at how we can architect a new technology architecture, but at the same time looking at how we bring people along on the journey, and also look how we optimize process in order to be successful in that space. So as a tech company, we have to move tech to being enabler and not the front of center of everything that we do, and put our people first, put our customers first, and then look at how we can optimize that relationship over time.
It's hard to find anybody who is senior who doesn't believe that customer obsession is a good thing, right? But believing it and doing it are 2 different things, as we all know. So if you can use a method where you get the senior people around the table to say, is customer obsession something that we are all united on as a team, sales, marketing, customer service? Are we united on that? If sales says, well, we're not united because we just need to hit some numbers, or marketing say, well, we don't care as long as we run some marketing events, then you have a problem, because you will not be a customer obsessed organization. If you don't weave it in at the senior level and then cascade it down, it won't happen. Trust me, people will say the right things, but it will not happen.
Be patient. These things don't happen overnight. Our traditional quarter-to-quarter campaigns where you can measure and report back, those days are gone as we move into these new developer markets. It takes time to build relationships. It takes time to become part of communities, become trusted by those communities, and be the kind of company they come to for advice. So hang in there, be patient, it'll all work out.
It really is a paradigm shift for us to be able to move from product-centric to customer-centric. And it requires a big change in culture. And I think it's a challenge to get people to change mindsets when they are used to doing things one way. I mean, we're a company that's 80 years old, and people know and enjoy the direction that we have today. So there's a lot of questioning about why would we change if something's working? Why do we need to do things differently? And so that's the first thing we need to focus on, I think, in order to be successful in getting customer obsession really entrenched in the organization. And it needs to become part of our being. It needs to become part of our DNA.
F5's traditional customers are the enterprise customers. We think we know quite a lot about that. We've been working with them for a long time. We interact with them on a regular basis, and they tell us we're doing a good job. However, F5 is moving towards a software and multi-cloud solution set. And this is really interesting because it opens us up and means we need to target different types of customers. We're moving into the field where DevOps are the ones consuming our future products. It's a market that's new to us. We have some experience in it, but these communities are all digital communities. They live in a different place. They don't necessarily engage with traditional marketing tactics and approaches. So we have to define our marketing strategies around that now. We've got to go find where they hang out, their meetups, who's influencing them, and find out more about them so we can make that approach seamless.
We have not perfected this by any means. It's early days, but the bare bones that we have today are really delivering better numbers, I think, that we can never even have expected. So, we're starting with the bare bones. Imagine when we kind of start to add more meat onto the bones over time. And I think what we are doing really well now is engaging with sales. So we had a relationship with sales before. Marketing in the UK have had a good relationship with sales, but it's even better, and they are more open to kind of meeting with marketing and discussing the opportunities for nurturing and how we can potentially push some of our hot leads down the purchase funnel faster. And so all in all, I think everybody's on board across marketing and sales to kind of look at how we can win in this space, which is not something I would have said 10 months ago.
Another example springs to mind about how customer obsession in the early days of the company, where it shook to the company that which way do we go? Do we stick with our value of customer obsession, or do we trade it in for another value, which was growth? So around about 2006, we had the company was small. We were just getting going. We were having some success with what we were doing. And we had a customer, Deutsche Telekom actually, a prospect, who came along and said, we want to buy 60,000 users from you, which was fantastic. This was an enormous potential order for us. However, they wanted to take our software and run it on their own computers. Now, for 60,000 users, when we only had 100,000, this was like almost doubling the size of the company overnight. And we sat around the table and the executive team discussed it, and we said, this is not the value to our customers. We run the risk of customers having different versions of Salesforce. And we held true to what we felt was the right thing to do around cloud computing. What I mean by that is you don't have different versions of Google, right? You don't have different versions of Amazon. But we could have split at that time because it would have obviously increased our growth and allowed Deutsche Telekom to run a version of Salesforce. We didn't think they could run that, due respect, as well as we could. And therefore their customers who were using Salesforce would have a poorer experience. And we just debated and discussed it, as you can imagine. Sales wanted it to happen. Other parts of the company did not, but as an executive team, we said, no, this is going to challenge our customer obsession, because we think some of our customers are going to get a lesser service, so we can't do that. So we walked away from the order.
I would say it's an art and a science. I think it's an emotionally charged area of the business that really is based on a lot of emotion and the connection with the customer. But you need the data and the insights and the foresight and the analytics to be able to determine how we optimize that experience for the customer over time.
There's real challenges around becoming customer obsessed when it's easy to say and hard to do, and as we all know. And so when a challenge comes along to make more sales or to look after the customer, which do you do? And to my mind, you need to build in the culture, and we used to build in the culture. If a customer's having a problem, don't do another sales call. Go visit the customer and fix the problem. Don't build more pipeline when you've got existing customers who are struggling. We used to monitor customer churn intimately and to find out if a customer left us, why did they leave us? What did we do wrong? Why did they leave? Could we have prevented them from leaving? At Salesforce, we had a fantastic advantage because we could see what our customers were doing on the computers. We couldn't see their data, but we could see whether they were using the software. So if a customer, for argument's sake, had bought 500 users from us, and only 50 users were using the system, we knew we had a potential problem downstream. So don't wait until the customer churns. Go visit them, go find out why have you bought 500 but only 50 are using. Let us help you get more value. We're not going to charge you anymore. We're not going to look for any money. So we set up programs where we would go and visit the customer. The customers were shocked, by the way, that people would come and visit them from the software industry and not be asking for orders and not be asking for incremental revenue. We'd come and say, we want you to get more value out of what you're spending. How do we help you get more value out of your spend? And they were, the vast majority of customers were delighted that somebody would come down, sit with them and say, okay, I bought the vision, but I'm not getting the value, help me.
We know that there is a direct correlation between customer satisfaction and revenue. So the first thing we look at is how do we measure customer satisfaction? It was an interesting journey for us because we obviously have NPS, and NPS is generally the key metric that most people use to measure customer satisfaction. But when we started our pilot, it was generally a smaller subset of the NPS audience. And so we've had to look at ways to kind of measure that customer satisfaction. I think over time we will continue to explore opportunities to really enhance our measurement and just gain more understanding of where the customer is. And also obviously using a lot of the data that we have to really understand what parts of the journeys need to be optimized better.